welcome back to the end of another week. It's Sunday evening and we literally just got back from Bordeaux. We had the vélo tour this weekend with his sister and brother-in-law and stuff. So I'll take you around as we check out what's happening in the garden. Since I don't know, because I haven't been here all weekend. Tomatoes are definitely on their last legs. I did get around to clearing out some of the tomato vines here, but as you can see, there's like a bunch of dead stuff happening. So a lot of the tomatoes are going to be working. I'm going to work on pulling them all out. This is like a late season volunteer tomato, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it since I had no plans for that anyway. So this will be kind of a replacement tomato. And then I actually have another volunteer tomato in the strawberry patch and another volunteer tomato popping up over there. So since these have obviously been hit with like the this time of year fungal issues, they're all going to be trashed basically. And this one already has like some tomatoes coming down below, like these little red cherry tomatoes. So we'll still have some stuff coming in, but you can even see like they've started getting the fungus that happens around this time. But the other two over there are quite young and haven't seemed to be affected by anything yet. So we'll see what happens. I did get out on the other side of the fence, which I do like basically twice a year. And if I put my phone over here, you can see that I've just gone through and raked back the hedge. So all the brambles and the stuff that was growing, I just kind of like, I just stomp it down and rake it back to kind of control this little alleyway. So I've done that along this western side. And I've also managed to do it up along there to the chicken area. So that's like my fall stomp down. And then I also do one in the spring before the new growing season starts. So that's been done. I do have some brassicas starting in the alley. However, you'll also notice that a lot of stuff is missing from the alley because it's all out here. I'll show you the driveway because the driveway is almost done. There's still some finishing work that needs to be done, but the contractor is going to come out on Wednesday and we'll start doing the prep work for the concrete pad that's going to go there, and another concrete pad that's going to extend this back pad to the other back pad way back there. So that work is starting at the end of this week now. So starting on Wednesday. And I want to salvage all of my mulch from this area. So my plan is that I've been, well, I'm not going to walk you over there, but I'll zoom in from here. Let's see how far we can get. Okay, so way down in that corner, I've been really like stomping down the weeds, and I plan to lay out the cardboard all the way to the corner way back there. And as I lay out the cardboard, I will use this mulch to cover it. So everything from this alley is going to get relocated down there. For the time being, like my tables are here. There's a bunch of stuff on the side here. I've moved some of the things into the garden carport area. A bunch of this stuff just needs to be cleaned up. And I will also probably be moving all of my plants somewhere else temporarily because I'm not sure how long the concrete's going to take to like get it ready, get it poured, get it set, all that jazz. And I still have like those 2 white things have my seedlings, my brassica seedlings that I want to plant out in the garden, but I have to wait till they get bigger. A bunch of these tomatoes are going to be like trashed because it's end of the season and I don't need them. I should have gotten rid of them a long time ago, but that's what's happening there. I don't think anything else is happening here. The figs we're harvesting because again, like they're starting to get this end of season thing. Yeah, like that one's probably a little too far gone. But yeah, so the fig is pretty much wrapping up its production. We did harvest a ton of figs and apples from his sister's place. So I'm going to be turning that into my Christmas fig liqueur and apple liqueur. The chickens survived the weekend without us. I mean, no real surprise because they're basically like dinosaurs. But yeah, it was the first time that they've spent all weekend in this enclosure. Nobody died. I looked around. There wasn't any evidence of animals trying to get in. So that worked out really well. They laid a total of 7 eggs that we collected today. And I went ahead and opened up the door so that they can get some exercise before sunset tonight. But yeah, the big thing, I guess, is the driveway. So I'll walk down and kind of show you what's happening here and some of the plans. So the guy did end up having to get another big pile of dirt delivered because over here, maybe if I get down low enough, yeah, you'll actually see that like he had to really build up this wall because the driveway really kind of dipped in this area. So over here, he didn't have to do anything. And basically, as it came down, it got deeper and deeper and deeper. So he had to build the barrier higher and higher and higher. And then over there, it kind of equalizes again. So there is a big dip here, which isn't bad for me because originally I had planned to get raised beds, like 1 foot tall raised beds to put in here. But really, this is like 6 to 8 inches lifted. So my plan is I'm probably going to have to go in and kind of like chisel out the extra concrete so that there's still enough to support the wall, the barrier, but there's enough for me to like dig and till and eventually put some dirt in there. So yeah, so hopefully if I'm lucky, I won't actually need to put any barrier. I'll just be able to dig up the section that's here and then backfill this whole thing with dirt. And then the idea is that I'm going to plant like saffrons and daffodils and things like that in this area as like a little welcoming, flowering, bulbing throughout the year thing. We don't have any plans for this ugly thing, at least not yet. So for the time being, we're just going to leave it. The pad, the concrete pad over here is, I believe, going to be coming in line with the house. So basically it's going to be kind of like an extension to the house. And then that whole area is going to be concrete. But the small area in here, I'm probably going to dig out a bit and clean it up and then basically bring the mulch in. So the mulch that's here will meet the concrete pad, come in here, be around this water thing, and then meet the barrier here until it goes into the dirt flower bed area over there. So that's the plan. I'm not sure if it'll actually work. Theory and application are not necessarily the same thing. But over there, you can see we still have a bunch of rocks. And that's because if I walk you down in this direction, he did get the path done, so that's nice. But over here we have this water line because we're going to look for the water that goes into the house around here. So this is why this area hasn't been done yet. And that pile of rocks back there are destined for this space. But I think way back I mentioned that this actually used to be a door, as you can tell by the stone structure around it. And it used to have shutters, which are like those metal things were what would have held the shutter doors. And at some point in the home's history, they bricked it up and turned this just into a window. So the kitchen is there. And inside the kitchen, there is a water main shutoff somewhere right about there. Except for since we redid the kitchen, that water main shutoff is now a pain in the butt to get to because it's basically like behind the lower cabinet. So we have to like pull out a drawer, and there is a little trap door to get to it, but we have to pull out the cabinet drawer, open up the trap door, and then you get the water main turn off. So what we're hoping to do is kind of explore this area and hope we find the water pipes. And if we find, assuming we find the water pipes, the idea is that we're going to put an exterior water shutoff, which makes a lot more sense. But while we're at it, we're going to run that water tube to this area because eventually Francis and I have an idea of potentially building out like an exterior kitchen here. Nothing too fancy, basically just like a glorified barbecue, but it would be kind of in this area. So we want to go ahead and have the water put in now, since like it's all exposed and we can dig it now. So that's the plan with that. Eventually, the other plan of mine is to maybe like plant roses or something along the driveway, but that's like really far out because ultimately I need to discuss with Francis because I wasn't originally planning on having like a kitchen area here, and now he's talking about basically having a glorified barbecue over here and having like a fire pit there. So like maybe I wouldn't have rose bushes, all the way along here. I might do some sort of like rose thing with an arch and having like climbing roses going over the arch so that you can walk into this like kitchen area. But who knows? I don't know. I have all kinds of ideas, and then we just wait and see what actually happens. Speaking of which, so originally there was like a little path here that went to the well, and I mean obviously we're keeping the well because it's still semi-functional, like it does actually get water, but in the long term we want to somehow pretty it up. And we haven't thought about that yet. But while we were redoing the driveway, he dug a bunch of dirt out of this little corner here, which we had him go ahead and put into the mini creek that was formed after we did the septic. So if you remember way back, like we had the septic installed and all of this was flat. And then last winter, we had that done towards the end of the summer. So then we had the winter and it was super rainy. And basically, since this entire area had to be dug up to put the drainage pipe out to the ditch, the dirt hadn't compacted properly. So with all the rain, basically this entire thing gradually just sort of washed away. And we never bothered fixing it. So it looks like crap. We're not really worried about it, at least not for now. But at least it's like there's some stuff there. We've had some rains. It's starting to get compacted. I'll probably, obviously try to like level it out a bit. There's still a very, very significant like dip here, and then of course it goes into this giant hole that was created that goes down into the ditch. So we haven't figured out exactly how we're going to resolve that yet, but ultimately at least the land here is stable for now, and we're not worrying about it quite yet. My last thing for this video, and I'll call it quits, is that we did, so I think it was last year at the bike tour, I picked up these grapevines. I actually picked up 4 grapevines that we had planted along here, but the middle 2 didn't make it, so they've died. And the last one at the very end is kind of like a failure to thrive. The only one that's really doing well is this one. And I'm guessing it's because this one never had its head chopped off. Because the other ones did suffer weed whack damage at some point in time. So they didn't really get off to a good start. But that being said, this one's doing well. And we are planning on basically having a grapevine row all the way along here. So I am looking at getting some new grapevines to plant in the 3 areas that have already been prepped. And then I think in between these areas, because I left so much space with the anticipation of growing, we could potentially put in 2 grapevines, because depending on how you train them, they can grow in different ways. But I'll kind of figure out exactly how many grapevines we're thinking about putting in, and then I am going to slowly start adding to our grapevine collection again. So this one, I don't remember what it's called because its tag has since been destroyed. So I'm just going to call this the San Emilion grapevine because it comes from that area when we do the bike tour. And then the other ones, I will be making my own tags, which hopefully will last, and that way I can remember what they're called. But yeah, that I think is it for this installment, this episode. And it's starting to get dark. So yeah, I hope you had a good one. I will see you next week. And yeah, hopefully we'll have some concrete work happening back there and some more cleanup happening in the garden. Hope you had a good one. Bye.